some creeping executive power, especially from Bush to Trump, and how to reverse them. Your ideas on how we can pull it back.
The first one, I think that's been around for a bit since the Obama era, is the National Defense Authorization Act. And what is that? Summary is the ability for the military to hold anyone considered a 9/11 terrorist without any charges, without any trial. So it's something that, you know, has been debated. How far can that go? So is it right now? It's just limited to terrorists, but what does it take to be qualified as a terrorist? There's been some arguments about the protesters in Portland and the barricades and them being treated by unmarked vehicles. Is that related to this? That's not determined right now, but it's a very slippery slope. Once you say somebody's a terrorist, it only takes one little amendment to broaden that terrorism scope. So how do we reverse that? It just comes to people agreeing with the right that everybody, regardless of what kind of criminal you are, has the right to charges and the right to a trial. It's a very simple principle that's been around since, you know, the last several centuries. So we have to, if we're to throw somebody in jail, it's our duty as Americans to try them and to give them their charges.
Yeah, pretty much since the Magna Carta, all the way back to England.
So I think was part of that particular part of that NDAA was actually the same clause that they used to hold Chelsea Manning without any reason recently, just because she wouldn't retestify against Julian Assange. She was being legally tortured. The United Nations actually had to step in. There was a secret grand jury that had been put together that nobody really had access to any of the documents. It was recently dissipated, thank God. But so basically their logic is, if we consider you a terrorist, which is basically by their definition, anybody they consider a threat to national security, foreign or domestic, they can hold you without cause, without reason, and without giving you any time frame as to when they can release you. And because of that, Chelsea Manning was held in jail for another year and some change in solitary confinement, and then given a $3,000 fine every single month she was in jail. So like they fined her for being in jail because of this act. Under Obama, people were disappearing in Baltimore and Ferguson. People were being harmed in Standing Rock. Obviously, the military weaponized, but there are people, feds, probably private contractors like the ones we're seeing in Portland, that are literally kidnapping people and were kidnapping people in Ferguson. So this is something that not only is problematic, but it's being used. It's not just, they didn't just pass it just to pass it. Like, it's being used right now, and it is truly one of the scariest, because it basically says due process doesn't exist, and that's just simply not the case, or at least it's not supposed to be.
Carlito.
Yeah, so the topic that I chose was something that I first heard about during the Bush years, and especially with Cheney. It's called the Unitary Executive Theory. And from John Dean, he was a lawyer for Nixon. He said, in its most extreme form, unitary executive theory can mean that neither Congress nor the federal courts can tell the president what to do or how to do it, particularly regarding national security matters. And that's been used since Nixon, Bush, Obama, Trump. Everybody has used, and it's just been escalated. And this is the reason why Bush thought that he could get away with torture, and why John Woo said that if the president deems that he's got to torture somebody, including by crushing the testicle of the person's child, there is no law that can stop him.
Wow.
So this is where all these laws that the president thinks they could overstep boundaries, they all extend from this. And now having Bill Barr, which was one of the disciples of I think it was under Bush 1, Richard Nix, he, along with the Federalist Society, are basically trying to take over all federal courts, because they know that's the only way that they could be stopped. So the only way to really stop this is having good judges, man.
And we know that Trump got a lot of judges in, so that's going to be tough for a long time. So we touched on Bush. I got something from Obama where he overused the Espionage Act, especially on journalists. That's basically what he used it on, more than, I believe, any of the previous presidents combined.
Right.
So yeah. Basically it's a law where you would declare that the journalist is a spy, and you're able to charge them when they're just doing regular journalism. And then I want to throw in Trump real quick, where recently he diverted money. So the Congress has the power of the purse, and the power of the purse is they can delegate where our taxpayer money goes to. And Trump, he reappropriated money that was supposed to go to the Department of Defense, and he reappropriated to the war. So that's something that is rarely done, or actually, I don't know if it's ever been done before by a president, but it's something that he shouldn't have done, and that's a way that he's grabbing executive power.
I just say that's just crazy that they can take money from the DOD whenever they feel like building a damn wall, but they can't take money from the DOD when it comes to passing healthcare legislation or giving us unemployment.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it was quick. Yeah, we're gonna build this wall that don't need no food, don't need no water, ain't got no bills, ain't got no kids. But we're gonna get that money to the wall.
and then you'll see, like, you see Pelosi and crew, like, they gave him a budget increase for the military without even asking for it. He didn't even ask for more money for the military, and they were like, "Here you go. Here's a budget increase for that."
Yeah, I think that's why it's so hilarious when Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer pretend like they don't like Trump. Like,
that's why they had to get rid of Bernie from getting the nomination, because he would have won, and now he would have been the executive with all that power. And he could literally probably reappropriate money to Medicare for all, to the Green New Deal, to universal child care, to universal housing for the homeless. He would have, he probably, even though we know Bernie, I don't think he's that strong. I think he would have been like, oh, I got to work with Chuck Schumer. I got to work with Nancy Pelosi. But if we get
also,
Nina,
he works with the military-industrial complex a little bit too much too.
Exactly. Yeah. So if we get a Nina though, or somebody to outsider to be progressive, that would be very, very interesting.
If Nina was chief of staff, it would be the best. It would be the best administration.